A Sky TV reporter has been intimidated by hooded vigilantes and screaming support for Palestine and opposition to the EDL. It doesn't really matter what the political bias might be. I believe that the wearing of a hoodie in public to intimidate is illegal. There's a law which goes back, Public Order Act 1986, Section 60AA of the Act, provides the police with the power to demand the removal of face coverings in designated areas to prevent or detect crimes, particularly relevant during public gatherings or protests where individuals may use masks to conceal their identities or evade identification in the event of criminal activities. I mean, basically, I think Spider-Man and a lot of the Marvel group of vigilantes would be arrested in Britain. The Antisocial Behaviour Crime and Policing Act in 2014 grants police the authority to issue dispersal orders, which can require individuals to remove their face coverings. Failure to comply with such orders can result in arrest and prosecution. So often this has come down to an argument about wearing the hijab and face coverings from that point of view, but I think it could also be used to arrest people in the riots on either side who are masking themselves and hiding their identity. And all of this eggs on, because so much of this is done by young men who are showing off to one another about how far they can go to make their point, which is second generation anyway. Everything is everything is egged on by an unseen leadership. And the recent incident with the masked activists disrupting the Sky News broadcast highlights the complexities of enforcing these laws, but it doesn't mean those laws don't exist and can't be used. The men, one of whom appeared to be carrying a large bat, engaged in behaviour that crossed the line from protest to intimidation in exactly the same way as crossing the line from protest to riot is the act of throwing a missile, or attacking a shop, or breaking and entering. The presence of a masked individual stabbing a victim's tyre further escalated the situation, prompting concerns about public safety and the rule of law. Now, Jess Phillips, the Labour MP for Birmingham Yardley, faced criticisms for her comments regarding these events, and Phillips emphasised the misinformation that had spread, suggesting it had provoked congregations of individuals while also condemning any criminal acts. The response was muted, and that muted sense has been criticised by people like Richard Tice and James Cleverly, who argue that that excuses or downplays the severity of the actions taken by masked individuals. It shouldn't matter which side the masks are being worn. If the masks are being used to intimidate, they are wrong, and these people must be policed. Liz Truss and others have similarly expressed concern about what they perceive as a lack of condemnation for thuggish behaviour, but the EDL-inspired rioters were also wearing masks. You can't have one rule for one group and another rule for another group. There has to be legal consistency. The principle that the law is blind is the foundation of our rule of law. It's essential that the law is implied consistently, regardless of the political or social motivations behind a group's actions. And then there's the freedom of expression versus the public safety argument. While freedom of expression and the right to protest are protected rights, they must be balanced by public safety and by order, and the use of masks in protest to intimidate complicates this balance, particularly when they are used to commit crimes like destroying property. And the role of political leaders, this side taking, and this, oh look, they're doing it now, is simply detestable, utterly detestable. These people, the Richard Tices, the Liz Trusses, these people should be setting an example and calling for peace. Instead, they're stirring the pot. They're rabble-rousing in their own way, like witches. hubble, bubble, toil and trouble. I don't have so much difficulty imagining Liz Truss in that role. And Richard Tice, if you remember in the beginning of Macbeth, there's a question about the witch's gender. One of them talks about having a beard. Well, that could be Richard Tice, couldn't it? Their statements could be interpreted as justifying unlawful behaviour, providing that it bends to their particular political bias. That is unacceptable. It undermines public trust and the rule of law and the role of the police, the effective enforcement of laws that govern us all. The issues surrounding masked vigilantes are complex. The issues surrounding public demonstrations are complex. And they require careful consideration. But the legal framework in the UK allows for the regulation in mask wearing in public to maintain order and safety. And whoever is wearing masks and intimidating is wrong. Whoever. And public leaders and the public must navigate these laws with a commitment to fairness and ensure that all individuals are held accountable under the law, irrespective of their affiliations or causes. The recent controversy involving Jess Phillips underscores the importance of clear, consistent principled stances, and she is wrong, and she hasn't addressed these challenging issues in a clear and consistent way. But equally, the baying from the right wing, from the Liz Trusses, from the Tices, is simply inappropriate. James Cleverly, he ought to know better. He was a Home Secretary. I think, frankly, needs a wake-up call and a cold shower. He needs to turn the tap on and wait until somebody else says he can turn it off, because this is unacceptable for a Home Secretary, a former Home Secretary, to be baying like some mad dog, encouraging, whipping up this right-wing wall of defiance. It's absurd and contemptible, and it's beneath the role that he has played. He doesn't deserve any further political office. He has demonstrated his incapacity to govern.